Hi, Lisa.
Are we ready for day number 4 of our journaling journey?
Hey, number 4, my lucky number.
Hey, it is, isn't it?
April
Yes,
4th is my birthday.
you got it.
So
Awesome.
it's gotta be
So,
good.
so today the topic, the word is learn. What comes up
Mhm.
for you?
I think the best thing I can say is if I'm not learning something every day, it's been a bit of a waste, or I'm not being honest with myself, because I don't think there's a day I can remember where there hasn't been at least one thing that I've learned.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, there's always something. It's like I'll say to people, oh, I went to the seminar the other day and, I knew all that stuff. I've been to that before or whatever. And I'll say, well, what one thing touched a nerve that maybe you knew, but you'd forgotten, or that you needed to start, or you wanted to do, but you don't. And they can almost always come up with something. And I know if I learn one thing in a 1 hour webinar, then I've made progress. How about you?
And sometimes those situations to put yourself in to learn one new thing, sometimes all the rest of the stuff you just need to hear again. And it's motivating to hear it.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, that's right. I know that and I don't do that, but I should, you know?
Well, and should is one word that you can use, or you can say, but I want to. Not
Mm.
you should, but I
Oh, I
want
like that
to.
that
And
that
I'm
distinction.
tomorrow I am doing that thing. And I don't want any more shoulds in my life. I've got so many of those, they're overwhelming. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work for me. But hey, I learned that there was something I knew, but I wasn't putting into my system, my
Yes.
my routine.
Exactly. Okay. So I think that's a great jumping off point, Judy. Let's stop right
Okay.
there. I'm
Okay.
going to stop the recording and let's write about the word learn.
Learn.
Okay.
Okay.
Back in a
Good.
sec. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, boy. I mean, I've heard of story slams and poetry slams. This is a writing slam for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So what'd you write about learn? You go first this time.
Well, I started out with, I thought it's like every sentence I just kept going back to, I love learning. I am learning. I want to learn. I have learned. I love how these words give you a touchstone whenever your hand wants to stop writing. It's just pick that word up and say it a different way, is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, what I was taken with is I said if I go to the library or my favorite bookstore, or I stand in my dining room and look at all my unread books, I realize that there is knowledge and wisdom available in the world that I know nothing about.
Mhm.
And I said, that isn't to say I need to know everything, because that isn't even a possibility for me. I'm a kind of a slow reader. However, I can learn anything that I'm truly interested in. And I personally need to learn more about myself and
Mm.
who I am and where I want to go next. And I need to learn about my environment, my personal environment, and how I can change it to improve my life. And I must open my mind and learn new ideas and things to keep myself current.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it kind of spilled over on me. It was like, if you ever feel stagnant, just figure out what you want to learn next. And
Well, okay, so I have a question for you, and I've been struggling with this one. So I love learning, and my number one thing I like to learn about is myself also, and techniques and strategies to become and be the best I can be. So I was thinking, one of the best books was this book or that book. And it's like, oh, I should really reread that. But on my nightstand, I've got these new current books that tell me, have information that I want to read about the same or pretty similar topics. And
mm-hmm.
so I struggle with having the time to read my old favorites versus exploring the new options. You're not going to have an answer for me on that one because you struggle with the same thing.
I do. And what I
Yeah.
really struggle with is when people say, oh, I read this great book and you've got to read it. And it's about, personal growth and whatever. And I start reading it and I think, this is the same idea, same category as when I read Wayne Dyer back when I was 20 years old. And I think, and then what I find myself doing is pulling out my Wayne Dyer book, and I don't reread it, but I skim it and just kind of remind myself of those ideas I love. But I still
So-
read the new book.
Okay, but when you read your old Wayne Dyer, did you highlight or underline or mark up your book at all?
Sometimes, back in the day, I kind of didn't want to mess up my book, so I didn't always, but I've started doing that more and more of my books are underlined now than used to be.
Yeah, so when you say that you go back and skim, that's what it makes me think of. I have some favorites that now I have had some book purges in my life, but there are some books that I have that when I say I go back and I look at old favorites, I'm only reading those sections that have my highlights and my underlines and my stars and smiley faces and exclamation marks in the margins.
What I tend to do is go back to the table of contents, and I look at the table of contents and I go, ooh, that was a good chapter. Like Erroneous Zones has a chapter on guilt and worry. And those are things I have fought with all my life, is feeling guilty and worrying about things, over worrying about things, overthinking everything. So I'll page through to that particular chapter, and I start reading it and it's like having a conversation with an old friend. It just comes back to me. And so, that's, I think, why I have such a hard time letting go of my books, is that I don't just read them once, but once I've read them, now they become reference tools. And of course, not everything. I mean, there's probably some junk that I could throw away, but for the most part, if it's something I grew from, I'll keep it.
Well, with that, Judy, I will see you again tomorrow. And our topic tomorrow is what? What is the word?
Strong.
Strong.
Ooh,
Okay.
it's a strong word. See ya. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.